Imagine it is midnight, December 11th, 1962. A biting wind sweeps through the streets of Toronto, rattling the iron gates of the Don jail. Outside, a crowd of 500 people has gathered in the dark. Some are praying, others are protesting. Inside a small, dimly lit cell, two men sit in silence. Ronald Turpin and Arthur Lucas. They are about to become a permanent part of history, though not in the way anyone would ever want. A guard approaches and whispers a rumor that has been circulating.
You two might be the last. The government might never do this again.
Turpin looks up, his face etched with the weight of the moment. He doesn't beg for his life. He simply whispers,
That is some consolation.
Minutes later, the trapdoor falls. Turpin was right. The noose would never tighten around a Canadian neck again. But to understand how we got to that quiet, cold night, we have to look into the mirror of our past. A mirror that reflects a much more violent reflection. In the early 1800s, history wasn't just read, it was watched. Capital punishment wasn't a secret held behind stone walls. It was a public event. In those days, the law was a heavy hammer. You could be sentenced to death for stealing a turnip, for hiding in the woods while wearing a disguise, or for treasonous thoughts. The execution of Thomas Wayland in 1869 was attended by 5,000 people. It was treated like a festival, a show to reinforce the power of the state. But behind the cheering crowds, there was a gruesome reality. The science of the long drop wasn't perfected. For many, death wasn't instant. Records show that for some, the struggle lasted nearly 15 minutes after the trapdoor opened. The human cost was even higher for the observers. In 1885, at the Battleford hangings, the government didn't just want to punish the 8 Indigenous men on the scaffold. They wanted to send a message to the future. They reportedly brought children from local residential schools to watch. Imagine being a child, standing in the snow, forced to watch the life leave a man's body because the world was changing and the law wanted you to be afraid. As the years turned into the 20th century, the show moved inside. The public no longer watched, but the human drama intensified. We meet Robert Raymond Cook in 1960. Cook was 22 years old, accused of a crime so horrific it shook Alberta to its core: the murder of his own family. But Cook's story isn't one of a monster. It's one of a mystery. Throughout 2 trials, Cook never wavered. "I didn't do it," he told his lawyers. "I loved them." The evidence was circumstantial, pieces of a puzzle that didn't quite fit. In his final days, Cook didn't spend his time in anger. He wrote a poem. One verse read, "Is it strange that I'm sentenced to the noose while my family's killer is on the loose?" When the floor dropped beneath Robert Cook, a seed of doubt was planted in the Canadian heart. If the state makes a mistake, there is no undo button. There is no apology that can reach through the soil of a grave.
Now, let's step into the shoes of the leaders, the humans who had to sign the death warrants. John Diefenbaker, the 13th Prime Minister of Canada, was a man of the law. He had been a defense lawyer for years. He knew that the system was built by humans, and humans are flawed. He once told a story of a man he defended who was sent to the gallows. 6 months after the hanging, the star witness confessed, "I did it. I framed him." Diefenbaker never forgot that. When he became prime minister, the folders of the condemned landed on his desk. Each one required a signature to proceed. He would sit for hours, agonizing over the details, looking for any reason to grant mercy. By the time Pierre Elliott Trudeau and the leaders of the 1970s took the stage, the debate had moved from the gallows to the House of Commons. It was a war of conscience. On July 14, 1976, the members of Parliament stayed up late into the night. The vote was so close you could hear a pin drop. 130 to 124. By just 6 votes, Canada chose to put away the rope for good. History is a mirror. When we look back at the 710 people executed in Canada since Confederation, we don't just see criminals. We see a society trying to figure out what justice means. We see Arthur Ellis, the official hangman, who performed his duty hundreds of times, only to die in poverty, haunted by the work he did. We see the families of the victims who wanted peace, and the families of the wrongfully accused who wanted truth. Today, the Don Jail is a museum and an office space. The gallows are gone, but the stories remain in the walls. We moved from a time of public spectacles and 14-minute struggles to a country that believes the most powerful thing a state can do is choose not to kill. The secrets and scandals of the past aren't just about the crimes committed by individuals. They are about the lessons learned by an entire nation. History reflects who we were, so we can decide who we want to be. The last noose was tightened in 1962, but the conversation about life, death, and justice? That is a story that never truly ends.